This is a lecture on a poem called Gravity by Katy Ellis Jr. The objectives are to go through the poem and also to consider threads that connect the storylines to one another. The poem is divided into 5 sections. Can you still use the word divided if it's in 5 sections? Does divided only, you know what, math is not my big thing. When Valery Polakov returned after 438 days in space, his heart began again the work of moving blood through veins. Because on Earth there's up and down. After so much time in space, would I then believe that heaven sinks below and hell burns blue? On Earth I feel my weight come and go as I lie at the foot of a hot spring's high tide fills the lower rock pools in waves. I weigh just bone and skin, heart and lungs, the picnic lunch and every memory of someone inside my body. Then slowly I weigh nothing, salt water, glass ball, space. To demonstrate the moon's pull on oceans, on wombs, I tilt the spilt tea in my saucer around, and consider the great and fixed gulf we cannot stretch between the beggar's cool water and the rich man's blistered tongue. I confuse the facts by the gravity I place upon them. A tide chart hangs by my door. At certain times of day, china shards, blue glass, starfish, sludge, and barnacles appear at Dolphin Point. At certain times of day, Dolphin Point does not exist. If I'm good, I'll go up. If I'm bad, I'll go down. My belly swells in anticipation. I cry easily. When he entered his old atmosphere, gravity yanked Valery Palikov through Earth's blue shroud and sidewalk clouds, and further down the sky-scraped skin that holds our breath, until he pierced another spacious ocean brimmed in salt and stars. So, what I'd like to do is consider threads of connection. And you'll have noticed as I was reading through the poem, there are certain things that I have highlighted in orange and certain things I've put in bold. And that's just to draw your attention to it, and we will look at it now. So, what I'm looking at is there's this story about the Russian astronaut who spent 438 days in space. I'm not sure if it still is, but for a long time it was, he was held the world record for being in space the longest. And so there's this story about this man in space, and then there's the story about the speaker of the poem, who is an interesting character. Clearly is Christian, and we see that by these ideas of up and down and heaven and hell and those kinds of things. There's also the way she talks about a passage from Luke. And I'm using she just because the poet's a female, and I shouldn't do that. It doesn't mean, well, the speaker is a female because she's actually pregnant. And then there's a lot of these portions that are, um, sorry, I'm just getting my highlighter. You know, I cannot talk and do anything at the same time. So there are these threads that are connecting things together. And so we have this idea of like space, again, a religious idea with heaven and hell. And the color blue is continually cropping up. And all these ideas of glass, china, water, stars, atmosphere, and they pull us like a thread through the poem. So here we have, again, water, high tide, that tide chart, pools, waves. So there's a lot of water in this. And of course, she's also pregnant. So she has a child within her own body that is like in its own space that is encompassed in water. And again, of course, like we have water, glass, again, space. And here she's writing about the moon's pull. And again, that is tidal waves. And water, of course, she's pregnant. And then she talks again more about like liquid. This time it's she spilt her tea. Again, we have dishes or glass. And if you'll notice, she does this kind of really unusual and beautiful move here. So I like how she says, normally you'd see a writer going around and around, but I love this around, around, and consider the great and fixed gulf we cannot stretch. So she does something quite unusual there. Here we have again, we have like, you know, this notion again of liquid and water. And I've given you, it's from the King James Version, where this is coming from, Luke 16:22 to 24. And it's Lazarus and the rich man. And Lazarus, while he was alive on earth, suffered, and a very wealthy man would not share his wealth with Lazarus. And they both die. Lazarus ascends into heaven, and the rich man asks if Lazarus would cool his tongue because it's tormented in the flames of hell. So we're seeing her take in two really, really beautiful lines, this kind of biblical passage between the beggar's cool water and the rich man's blistered tongue. And again, we have like this notion here where covering all of this like last piece here is covering like kind of these biblical notions. So we have this real thread of Christianity, of heaven, of hell, of ascending and descending. And she writes, I confuse the facts by the gravity, and I love how she uses gravity in a different way here. which I think is really clever and beautiful. And of course, tide charts again, glassware, blue, the color blue, the notion of here instead of stars in the sky, we're seeing starfish. And then, of course, there's this another section. If I'm good, I'll go up. If I'm bad, I'll go down. And she's tried to connect this to like landscape and water and tides, where Dolphin Point is visible at parts of the day and isn't at other points. And she follows this with, if I'm good, I'll go up. If I'm bad, I'll go down. Almost like a juxtaposition of appearance and disappearance, of tides bringing something in and then taking it out again. Can you please pass that to me, please? Pass that to Mom. Okay. And then there's the return of the belly growing in anticipation for a child. And again, we have these, this time it's tears, but again, water. And here in the fifth section, she returns to Valery Palakov, the Russian astronaut. And she's talking about him leaving space and how gravity will yank him through Earth's blue shroud. Again, that color blue. Sidewalk clouds. Just just listen to that gorgeous juxtaposition, that gorgeous image of sidewalk clouds. And further down, the sky scraped skin. That again, like such unusual descriptions, that holds our breath until he pierced another spacious ocean, brimmed in salt and to stars. So she has these beautiful threads of images and words and language that weaves these two separate stories together. And she's also using the one story of the astronaut kind of as bookends to that inner story of the speaker. So this, I hope you enjoy this poem. It it's just so beautifully constructed, and I think it's something that most writers should strive toward, so that if you're going to use modifiers, they should be those modifiers like sidewalk clouds, sky scraped skin. It just gorgeous. So I hope that you have loved this poem as much as I have. Um, and she's a wonderful writer from Seattle. And yeah, thank you very much.